Shabbat Shalom. It's so good to see the faces that we see, and even more so the faces that I imagine are here on little boxes or big boxes.
Do you see where it says
a picture of them watching Shabbat morning services from a projection screen, and I've never seen my face so large. So I'm imagining that as one of the little screens as well. And as we enter Shabbat this morning, I think thinking about the fact that we are all on screens, and these are the screens that we do all of our work on, all the other things, that we take a moment to just try to do whatever we need to transition our work space into our prayer space. So that might mean going through and in this moment, closing any extra tabs you might have open, maybe closing something that is distracting, and just letting the release valve of Shabbat happen, right? The thing that you thought you had to do, the thing you thought you had to read, the email that you thought you had to send, just close it. It'll be there in a few hours. It'll be there, and allow us to enter this Shabbat space. And with that, I want to bring a poem from one of my favorite poets, Tori Blue. She writes, "I do believe our hearts want to be open to the world. If you're paying attention and willing to admit it, you'll feel yours asking to throw its doors open and welcome life in. What does it feel like, you ask? I'd say awe, thankfulness. There is nothing quite like standing beside a massive body of water, knowing it could swallow us all whole. Nothing quite like realizing in that moment, it gives more to us than it takes. Seaside cottages, a serene sound, something like song meeting sigh, a mirror to illuminate by reflection the darkness, and a constant transcendent dance with the moon that reminds us we are just a small part of the growing, moving, new each morning, powerful tide of beauty around us. Reminds us we are undeniably a part of the beauty indeed." We take a moment to enter Shabbat peace, Shabbat transcendence, and Shabbat beauty, reflecting quietly on our own.
We begin on page 1 of our digital Siddur, which you'll find in links right here in the chat. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha
This week I was talking to one of our upcoming bat mitzvah students, and she said, what's hard about these services is that she is alone in her house. And I said, but there's all these people watching, and I think you can even see the number up on your screen. She said, yeah, but I'm all alone. And I said, I feel you. I mean, I'm talking into a screen. I don't see any of you. I see my colleagues. There's something that's bizarre about all this. Some of you are probably still in your pajamas, drinking your coffee. Some of you might be out walking the dog, listening with earphones, as someone told me this week. And still, I think we can take just a moment to think about all the other people who are watching. So the 7th grade bar and bat mitzvah class of Machon Micah, the Mendelson Leighton family all over the world, everyone who is looking at their screen and looking at us. We might feel that we are by ourselves in our homes, but we're all watching and we're all in this together, and we have to try to sense that. We continue with a prayer for our bodies, followed by a prayer for our soul. As we become aware of our bodies, I'll say, blessed are you, God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom, you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of health and source of strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofecho basar umafli la'asot. We move now to a prayer for our souls.
Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehora tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehora tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehora tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi 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 tehorahi.
We've arrived at a prayer which we call Nisim B'chol Yom, the miracles of our daily lives. I've selected the first prayer. I'm going to read one of these prayers, the first one, which is daily recited in our liturgy. I've chosen the first one deliberately, and the reason for this will hopefully become clear to you later in the service. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sechvi v'ina l'havchin bein yom uvein laila. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who has given the rooster the ability to discern between day and night. Amen.
At the bottom of the page, Psalm 92. Tov leodod la Adonai befoalecha b'masei yadecha ranein magalu masecha Adonai me'od amku machshvotecha tov lehodot l'Adonai uzamer l'shimcha elyon tov lehodot l'Adonai uzamer l'shimcha elyon. We continue at the top of page 2. Hallelujah, 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 El Bekodsho, hallelujah, Birkia Uzo, hallelujah, Bigvurotav, hallelujah, Kerov Uzo, hallelujah, 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 Beteka shofar, hallelujah, Benevel bechinor, hallelujah, Betov umacho, hallelujah, Bemini beudav, hallelujah, 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 Betziotz leishama, hallelujah, Betziotz leitrua, hallelujah, Betziotz leishama, hallelujah, Betziotz leitrua, kol hanshama, tehallelujah, hallelujah, 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 kol hanshama, tehallelujah, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
In the book of Job, God asks, "Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Speak if you have understanding. Do you know who fixed its dimensions, or who measured it with a line? Onto what were its bases sunk? Who set its cornerstone when the morning stars sang together and all the divine beings shouted for joy?" The world that we live in, the vastness of the universe, is such a mystery. I think about one of the ways I like to call God the eternal mystery. I like that word mystery because there's just so much unknowing. And this is especially what I've been feeling of late. So we take just a moment to reflect on the outside, on the trees. If you're here in Washington, it's very sunny today. I'm looking out my window right here. I can see birds and squirrels. So take just a moment of appreciation. If you're by a window, you can take a peek outside, maybe look up to the sky. You think about the beauty of this world, how big it is, how small we are. Let's take a moment. Praise are you, God, creator of this wonderful, wide world.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We turn now to that part of our service. We call it tefillah, the prayer. There's a wonderful 2 words in our prayer book. And for the past week, as I'm sitting at this table in my dining room, I have on my table a Temple Micah Torah Scroll. You have in your home a Temple Micah Torah Scroll. The scroll that I have in my home, I'm going to be taking on Monday to a scribe during this season when we are removed from our Sifrei Torah. It's a season where we'll also have the opportunity to have some repair work done on our scribes. And I come in every day to look at the Torah Scroll. It's beautiful in every possible way. And as I thought about the scrolls, I find myself thinking about all those Sidurim, all those prayer books that sit in our sanctuary on those little shelves underneath our seats, and the shelves in the lobby and the shelves in the sanctuary itself, filled with prayer books and filled with Chumashim, the books of the Torah, and how removed we are from them. But we create a life of the Spirit ourselves using these virtual prayer sheets that we get each week. And there are 2 words in our prayer book that I think of so often that come at this point in the service. And those 2 words are prayer invites. Prayer invites us to go deeply into our heads. Just sitting wherever we are, we can take the picture of the sanctuary in our minds and think of the sanctuary. We can think of the Ner Tamid that continues to burn there even while we're not there. We can think of the prayer books on those little shelves underneath every chair. We can think of how we walk from the parking lot, if we're lucky enough to have a parking place, into the synagogue where we enter the prayer space. So I'm inviting you now to enter the prayer space of your home, enter the prayer space of your spirit, enter the prayer space of your soul, as we take a few moments to simply dig deep within ourselves. Who knows where that digging will lead us?
Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael amen.
I think I was worried when we switched over to Zoom that I wouldn't get that same feeling in my heart and chest when I stand up to announce that we've now moved to the Torah, the part of the Torah service for our Bar Bat Mitzvah students. And I have goosebumps. I'm so excited. There's just something so special about all of this. So Charlotte, I'd like to invite you as we move to the Torah service for your family, for Lily to go get the Torah. You'll help take it out of its talitot wrapping. So Lily, if you can hand Dan the Torah. Then we say, out of Zion came one Torah, and from it many Torah scrolls carried on the shoulders of each generation, brought to new homes and new worlds. Wherever we Jews have gone, we have brought our sacred scrolls, because it contains the search and the record of that search for wisdom, for truth and comfort. And today, Charlotte, our Torah has traveled into a new home again, to your home, for your family to pass to you as it was passed to each of them. And so, not yet, we'll do some music, we'll sing the words of the door from generation to generation. And at the close of that song, then Charlotte, you'll hold the Torah in your hand and recite the words of Shema, proclaiming our search for the one true God.
Ledor vador nagid God lecha, ledor vador nagid God lecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish.
All right. Will you lead us in Shema?
Okay. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Beautiful. You can all now undress the Torah.
read here.
Whenever you're ready, Charlotte.
I'm not sure.
You'll teach us some words of Torah.
Okay. This week's parasha is Behar-Bechukotai, the last parasha in Leviticus. Behar-Bechukotai literally means statutes or laws. This is because in this parasha, God lays down the curses and blessings that will occur if one follows or chooses not to follow the commandments. My parasha brings up many important topics like free will, suffering, why bad things happen to good people, and what we can do about it. I chose a particularly harsh section to chant because it's actually many of the curses. However, I chose it because at the end, God starts to give hope and says that if the people repent of their wrongdoing, God will bring them back to their own land. One of the big ideas that was the most interesting to me was that people have a responsibility to take care of the environment surrounding them. It's not just individuals that have this responsibility, but groups too. I thought that my parasha highlights a people's collective power to do right or wrong, and the consequences of doing one versus the other. For example, this pandemic, it's not enough for one person to social distance. Everyone has to do it in order to keep others safe. The same principle applies to taking care of our environment. Behar-Bechukotai actually begins by talking about the environment. God says that if the people obey the commandments, then rain will fall, allowing the crops to grow and the trees to bear fruit. But if the people don't keep God's mitzvot, then there are curses to follow. Interestingly enough, the word land is mentioned 22 times in my parasha, and almost all of the so-called curses are about the land drying up or the people's land being taken away from them. So, when groups of people or even individuals mistreat the environment, there are certainly consequences. We see that today with the many effects of climate change and pollution in our environment. So, I believe we can change our mistakes to help make the world a better place. For this reason, my Mitzvah project is to support the National Park Service. Also, once everything is back to normal, my family and I are going to hold a beautification day for the Park Road tennis courts. The Park Road tennis courts are part of Rock Creek Park, and they are covered with vines. I would love it if everyone watching could send an email or a letter to their local congressperson about the need to raise the National Park Service budget. I chose these for my Mitzvah projects because the National Park Service has an $11 billion maintenance backlog. This means they don't have enough money to fix roads, visitor centers, historic buildings, campgrounds, and trails. So, can everyone who's watching please go to www.nationalparks.org and make a donation to the National Parks Foundation. This is the official nonprofit partner of the National Park Service. Finally, I would like to thank all three of my tutors, Svea, Gwen, and Mike, for helping and teaching me. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Never a bad time, but especially not now, to be reminded of our communal responsibility towards each other. So thank you, Charlotte. So we're now going to move into reading of the Torah. So I invite you to open the scroll and find your place. As we call for an Aliyah, we have a very special first community aliyah this morning is a former Temple Micah rabbinical intern, Thalia Halbert-Rodas, who we can introduce for the first time as rabbi, as she was ordained less than a week ago. And so we invite Thalia to lead us in aliyah number 1.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'im bezo lo tishme'u li, v'halachtem imi b'keri, v'achalti imahem ba'makri, v'sarti ethem afani shava al hatotehem, v'achaltem b'sar b'nehem, v'sar b'notehem tohelu, v'hishmadeti et bamotehem, v'hichrati et chamonehem, v'natati et pigrahem, Apigre Gilehem, Vigala Nafshi Ethem.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, b'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov B'notenu Sarah Rivka Rachel B'Leah Hu Yavarechet Harav Tova Naomi Bat Bracha Elisheva Ugavriel Leor Shehigia L'Rabbanut B'Yisrael V'Tal L'Chvod HaMakom L'Chvod HaTorah. Dear Rabbi Thalia Halbert-Rodas, what a joy for us to call that name. What a joy for us to hear that name being called. We all hold many hopes in our hearts for you at this moment, many prayers and much love. I want to share a hope and a kind of teaching. I'll repeat a blessing that I said just a few moments ago. Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten l'sichvi vina lavchin ben yom uvein laila. Bless you, O God, who helps the rooster discern day from night. Rabbi Halbert-Rodas, learn from the rooster, who we invoke through prayer daily, who has the discernment and the courage to distinguish day from night. We live in a time when night is called day and day is called night. When you see that, Rabbi Halbert-Rodas, your task as a rabbi who carries within you, the great and distinguished mantle of prophetic Judaism is that you will cry aloud with every ounce of your strength and say, yes is not no, no is not yes, day is not night, and night is not day. That's what it means to rub sleep from the eyes at a time when many would rather turn over in bed and hope against hope that the rampant disregard for norms outside our windows will go away like a bad dream. Our country is being tested as a democracy under God with liberty and justice for all. You are a rabbi who carries the full weight and wisdom of Torah as your rallying cry. The mantle you hold began at Sinai. Never forget that. When you see injustice, cry out like a prophet, and like a priest, distinguish pure from impure and holy from profane. We need you now more than ever. Live your rabbinate out of love for God, for Torah, and for all of God's creatures. May you always be blessed, Rabbi Halbert-Rodas, as we say, Amen.
And say Amen, Selah. Extra amens. Thank you. So Charlotte, if you have your place for Aliyah number 2, we called to the screen your aunt Liz, your aunt Jill, your uncle Alan, and your cousin Nikki, as you all lead us in the Torah blessing.
Baruch, is that me?
Yep, go ahead.
So sorry. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai. Ham varach. Baruch Adonai ham varach li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
I completely freaked.
Amen. V'natati erhem korba v'hashimoti et mikdashem v'lo ariya bereya nichohahem. V'hashimoti ani et ha'arts v'shamemu alecha oivehem hayoshvim ba. Bethem ezra v'agarim v'harikoti acharhem hareb v'charta artsahem shemama v'arehem yihiu chorba.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you so much. For Aliyah number 3, we invite Jake, Lily, and Margot, brother, sister, and grandmother, Charlotte.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Az tirtzeh haaretz et shabtotecha kol yamei hoshama v'atem be'eretz oivehem. Az tishbat haaretz v'hirtzat et shabtotecha kol yamei hoshama tishbot et asher lo shavta b'shabtotehem b'shivtehem alaha. Bani shirim bahem v'hevetich march v'yavavam v'artzot oivehem. Beradaf otam kol ale nidaf v'nasu manusat hereb v'chashlu v'in rodef v'chashlu ish be'achiv k'mitnei hereb v'rodefayim v'lo tishya lachem tikuma lifnei oivehem v'avodatem bagoyim v'achla ethem eretz oivehem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful thing to have so many, even if not in the same room, on one screen. So for our next Aliyah, we have the closest generation, Dan and Lindsay, Charlotte's parents. I invite you.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. Tahani Sharim Bahem, Imaku Bavana Barso Oivehem, Be'ah Bavana Abatan, Itam Imaku. Bivadu Arabana Be'avon Abatan, Ma'alam Asher Maluvi, Be'ah Asher Kahu Imi Bekeri. Ah Ani, Elahimam Bekeri, Beveti Chotam Be'er Oivehem. O az yikana levavam he'arel ve'az yutsu eravonam zacharti et brit Yaakov ve'av et briti Yitzhak ve'av et briti Avraham as kor v'cha'aretz as kor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'chenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So Charlotte, this final aliyah is all yours. So we call you to the Torah. Ta'amod, ta'amod, ta'amod. Habachora, habat mitzvah. Chana bat Yehudit v'Pesach. La'aliyah chamisha. Chazak, chazak.
Baruch hu Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Behar-Bechukotai te'ezeh mehem v'tiretz et shabtotecha. B'shamat mehem vehem yutzu et avonam. Yan uvyan b'mishpatai ma'asu Behar-Bechukotai gala nafsham. V'afgam zot b'chotam be'eretz oivehem. Lo mastim v'lo galatim l'chalotam l'chafer brit itam. Ki ani Adonai Eloheichem. V'zacharti lehem brit rishanim asher hotzeiti otam. Meretz Mitzrayim le'nei hagoyim l'hiyot lahem le'elohim ani Adonai elah hachukim v'hamishpatim v'hatorot asher natan Adonai b'no u'ben b'nei Yisrael b'har Sinai b'yad Moshe. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam netav b'tohinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So Charlotte, as you're holding on to our tree of life, we offer you this blessing. Misha verach avatenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah hu yivarech et Hannah bat Yehudit v'Pesach shehegi'a lemitzvot ve'alta likvod hamakom ulikvod haTorah. May God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessing to you, Charlotte, for you have reached the age of responsibility and you were called to Torah for the first time. We celebrate all the dedication and hard work that brought you to this sacred moment today. May God watch over you. May your parents continue to raise you to full adulthood, leading you to a life filled with blessing, of Torah, of Jewish learning, of chuppah, the joy of a loving relationship, and always, always ma'asim tovim, good deeds. May you find favor before God and the entire Jewish community and the entire world, to which we say together, Amen.
Amen.
So you guys can redress the Torah and return it to its talitot of art.
Etz chaim hi l'machazikim ba betomchea me'ushar derachea darchei noam v'chol netivotea shalom hashivei אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Whenever you're ready, Charlotte, lead us in your Haftarah.
My Haftarah is from the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah was a prophet who lived in the 6th century BCE. At that time, there were 2 Jewish kingdoms, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. Jeremiah foresaw the Babylonian conquest of Judah and its capital, Jerusalem. Jeremiah also foresaw the destruction of the Holy Temple. To try and prevent this, Jeremiah urged his people to cease worshiping idols and return to following God's laws. In my Haftarah, Jeremiah preached a message of hope. If people trust one another but don't trust God, he says, they will end up like dry, salty land that is uninhabitable. But if the people ultimately trust God, they'll be like a well-watered tree that often gives fruit. One of the connections between my parsha and my Haftarah is the mentioning of land and the plants that grow from it. Another connection to my parsha is Jeremiah's message. People are responsible for their actions, both as individuals and as a community or a nation. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'neviim tovim v'ratzah v'dirhem ha'namarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah u'mashel avdo u'vyishel amo u'vivieh chamet b'sadek. Koch Amar Adonai Arur Hagaver Asher Yivta Badam Basam Basar Zero Umin Adonai Yasur Libo V'chaya Ke'arar Ba'arba V'lo Yireh Ki Avo Tov V'shahan Hararim Badmidbar Eretz Melecha V'lo Teshav Baruch HaGever Asher Yivtach B'Adonai V'chaya Adonai Miftaho V'chaya Ki'etz Shatul Almayim V'al Uva Yeshalah Sharashav V'lo Yireh Ki Avo Hom V'chaya Alahu Ra'anan Uvishnat Bazaret Lo Irag Velo Amish Measo Velo Amish Measo Peri Akov Halev Miko Ve'anush Hu Mi Ada Anu Ani Adonai Hoker Lev Bohin Kala'ot, B'latei La'ish, Kidrahav, Pifri, Ma'alala'av. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Sorko ha'amim, Tzadiko ha'darot, Ha'el ha'ne'eman, Ha'omer ve'oseh, Hamdiber u'mkayem, Shekol devarav, Emet v'tzedek, Al ha'torah, V'al ha'avodah, V'al ha'nevi'im, Volume Hashabbat Hazeh, Shanat Talvanu Adonai Eloheinu, Likdushav Lenuka, Lechavod U'Tifaret, Al Hakol Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu Modin La, Umbarhim Ota, Yibrashim Ha, B'Fikol Chai Tamid Le'elam Ba'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Amen. Siman Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Siman Tov, Siman Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Siman Tov, Siman Tov.
the pride and excitement you should feel, including maybe, I think I saw some candy being thrown in the background. So maybe some small bruises also. With all of those feelings, you can add the love that's coming in from you, in for you. People are watching from Israel, from Florida, from Brooklyn and Baltimore, Ann Arbor, Mount Pleasant, not as far away, but Boston. And there are people who are coming. Gail and Scott and Zachary are watching, the Fens, the Cummings and the Ginsburgs and the Okos, the Bermans and the Shell family. They're watching from Jackson Heights. And there's also love from Andrew, Mauricio, Amalia, and Lucy. Gwyneth is sending love and blessings. Sarah says she's so happy for you, she's crying. And Shirley says, thank you for your attention to the national parks. They're saying perfect, and you're getting so much love. So with feeling all of that love, I invite you, Charlotte, to rise with your parents as we bless you, as we offer you our tradition's most ancient blessing. Yivarech Adonai v'yishmarech, Ya'er Adonai panav elayich v'chunech, Yisa Adonai panav elayich v'yasem lach shalom. May God bless you and keep you safe. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may God's countenance be lifted on you and give you our most precious gift, the gift of peace. Amen. So big hugs all around, love coming in from everywhere. So you guys can all take your seats. You all can take your seats. And we can breathe in this moment. So before we move into our next set, I'll say a note for those who are joining us for the first time. Charlotte, in our glorious Temple Micah tradition, has asked me a question, and my sermon is meant to be an answer. And our new Zoom innovation of this tradition is that instead of one response, you'll get 3. And with that, I begin. Dear Charlotte, in 13 days, we will celebrate Shavuot, which marks the moment out of time in which Torah was given at Sinai. Our interpretive tradition teaches that all of us, past and future, were at Sinai. In a cosmic spiritual sense, each of us somehow in every age, in every moment in time, received and receives Torah. And yet, if all of us shared in the singular moment at Sinai, why aren't we all the same kind of Jews? Why does Judaism look different? This, Charlotte, I think is at the heart of the question you asked me, which is, how much should Judaism be impacted by wider culture? Which I might rephrase as, if we all practice Judaism differently, what connects us? Your question, Charlotte, was inspired by an interest in Jewish communities throughout the world. How are they different? Does Shabbat or the Jewish holidays look or sound or taste differently? Charlotte, your question has been a question for Jews almost since there were Jews. The early rabbinic discussions included examples at how the Jews of Eretz Yisrael, the Jews of the land of the Israel, practiced differently than the Jews of Babylonia, and sometimes offensively to each other. They didn't like how they were practicing. And so they would debate to figure out whose practice, whose tradition should take precedence. And as the Jewish world expanded upward and outward, as Babylonian Jews became residents of Egypt and Italy and Northern Africa and Spain and Germany, their practices started to change. Their rabbis explore new questions like, if we can't get the etrog from Israel, can we use a local fruit for Sukkot? And Maimonides, the 12th century rabbi, doctor, philosopher, discusses communities of Jews that take off their shoes to pray, just like their Muslim neighbors. Should we do the same, he asks? And with the distance of space and time, Judaism begins to sound different. The Jews of Spain and Portugal sing in a nusach, a musical mode that is altogether different from the Jews of Yemen and the Jews of Poland. And their foods, of course, develop a local flavor. This was a reciprocal act. Local foods became Jewish, and Jewish foods became local, as I discovered walking around in some small Polish towns where Jews and Poles used to live together, where still, in bakeries, you can find Friday bread, braided sweet loaves on Friday mornings, despite the fact that there haven't been Jews there since the Holocaust. And our love for the glorious potato, I think, has much more to do with living in cold weather than it does with Hanukkah. But what we eat, the language we speak, or how we sing change our Judaism? Yes and no. I visited Jewish communities around the world. Your question is actually quite a passion of mine, and discovered exactly the kind of differences I just discussed. And yet, no matter the culture from Belarusian to Argentine, I've felt a connection that I couldn't explain to the Jewish communities that I encountered in each of those places. I'm not always sure why. Frequently, we are speaking broken Hebrew to each other or working through a translator, and their cultural touchpoints are very much different than mine. Different wars, different politics, different rules about what is polite and what is very much not, and certainly a different kind of anxiety of what it means to be Jewish in public. And yet, I feel connected to these strangers. I think this is what Polish-born American Jewish philosopher Simon Rawitowicz wrote in 1949, a speech which I'll note was originally delivered in Yiddish to English-speaking Jews. So he wrote, "The oneness between Jews is so basic, so deeply entrenched in the Jewish soul and Jewish reality that many cannot see it. But this very invisibility makes it well secured, protects it against falsification and all sorts of destructive tendencies of history. The people of Israel are one in life and one in activity. All Jewish communities are one in their unceasing process of creation. For better or worse, free or unfree, complete or incomplete, the state of Israel and the whole diaspora of Israel are engaged in the same process of Jewish creativity. Every Jewish community supposes and should suppose that it alone is creating all that the people of Israel requires and can create. Later," he says, "history will combine all of those into separate processes and blend them into one. Every Jewish community, large or small, must, so long as it exists, be recognized as an equal partner, which is the sum of all Jewish communities." So yes, he says we are all different and should be, but also we're all the same. It is our link, our bond, and the ongoing project of creating and rebuilding Judaism that links us, and even more so sustains us. The invisible link he speaks of protects us because we can see beyond the differences that might otherwise divide us. We feel that invisible link. And so we are on our own process of building what is American Judaism, which I'm sure my colleagues will speak about because I know that that's one of their passions as it is mine. And it should be our process. We should be building this. Judaism should, Charlotte, look and feel and sound and taste like it's ours. But it's important that we do this creation with the wisdom of our companion builders. That is the other Jewish communities around the world. So I want very briefly to offer some of the lessons I have learned from Jews of other lands. From the Jews of Krakow, I have seen what it looks like to reclaim a joy that was stolen from you. From the Jews in Tbilisi, I learned that toasting the ones you love can and should be an integral part of the Shabbat meal. From the Jews of Azerbaijan, I saw the beauty in a community that has resisted change for more than 7 centuries. From the Jews of Argentina, I found a community of response that learned how to take care of the most vulnerable after their own economic collapse. From the Jews of Belarus, I learned to laugh despite it all. There's so many more lessons to discover because, Charlotte, we cannot help but be shaped by our worlds. So the question is, what will you discover and how will you use that to help us create what our world will become? Mazel tov to you, Charlotte. On this day, many more adventures are coming. I now pass it on to Rabbi Baraha.
I concur with Rabbi Crawley. But I'll also share what I wrote. There might be some overlap. Yes, we're friends, went to the same school, think similarly, But I hope these words can offer you something to chew on. Charlotte, you ask, how much should our Judaism be informed by the culture in which we live? And my answer is completely, because a Judaism that resists outside influence and separates itself wouldn't be a living, thriving Judaism. We live now. That we are informed by the culture in which we live is a fact. How much should water inform the life of a fish? And so, acknowledging reality, we must consider how to root ourselves in the Jewish past in order that in the Jewish now, we don't float away like a raft on a lazy river. I also think of Maimonides, who lived within an Arab Islamic context and was completely acculturated into Andalusian culture. But instead of floating away, the Arab Islamic ambiance enriched Maimonides' own culture and enhanced his attachment to Judaism. In fact, Maimonides' legal rulings were directly influenced by Almohad legal principles. So one of our greatest Jewish minds, Charlotte, was not a Jew who separated himself from the world, but instead totally embraced his cultural milieu. He learned from it, and in the process, he moved the Jewish project forward. But I also want to talk for a moment about food. What are you guys eating after this, by the way? You're on mute, but you'll tell us afterwards. Charlotte, food is delicious. I'm grateful for it. And the story of Jewish food is the story of the Jews. And like Maimonides, Jewish food never exists in isolation and is always a product of its culture. I've brought the cookbook, King Solomon's Table, in which Joe Nathan writes that Jewish food is unlike the cuisines of empires influenced by the cultures they vanquish, or national cuisines that have a homeland or stable center with defined boundaries. As a wandering people, she writes, Jews have influenced many different local cuisines and have been influenced by many different local cuisines. And in another cookbook, boom, this is Jewish Cooking in America, she says this: I thought all chicken soups were like my mother's. I had never imagined one with fresh coriander and fenugreek as eaten by the Jews of Yemen. The fluffy dumplings floating in the chicken soup had always been matzah balls, not the Persian gundi made from onions, ground chicken and chickpeas, flavored with cardamom and turmeric, or the Kurdish variety made from bulgur and meat. Charlotte, growing up, I probably ate a similar matzo ball soup to Joe Nathan. Lots of salt and lots of dill. My mom grew up in New York and her family was from Eastern Europe, so Ashkenazi food is what we got. My dad's family is from Greece, so along with the salt and the dill, there was spanakopita and we ate rice on Passover. And I loved going to our friend's house, the Radpavars, Jews who left Iran in 1979. And at the Radpavars' home, I ate dishes like tadik, fesenjun, and mustard espionage. But mostly, to tell the truth, I grew up on meals like meatloaf and spaghetti. We ate out at Chili's and had barbecues in the summertime. My kids eat ice cream every Shabbat. So maybe now ice cream is a Jewish food? My point here is that there's not really a quote unquote Jewish food. Historically, we have adopted and embraced the cultures of the lands in which we lived, and we Judaized it or made it kosher, maybe. But Isaac Mayer Wise, one of the founders of American Reform Judaism, was a lover of oysters, and he argued for them. And Jewish recipes that landed in the South quickly became regionalized, and so were full of shellfish, Jewish cookbooks. Charlotte, as Jews, we live amongst the people and are strengthened by them. We trade recipes, we mix ideas, and it is exactly by living amongst others completely and sharing in the world together that we learn who we are and what we stand for. We need the world and the world needs us, and as long as we mind our roots and continue to water them, our tree will continue to grow. Mazel tov to you. And now, Rabbi Zemmel, do you concur?
I can just say you both have it right. Charlotte, there is in fact no way for the surrounding culture to not inform our Judaism. The greatest carrier of culture is language, and your native language will by definition inform everything about your life. We speak English. Having said that, I firmly believe that one of the great challenges of American Jewish life today is that our institutional Jewish leadership for decades has not recognized the need for our culture to inform who and what we are as Jews. To too great an extent, we have inherited a kind of Judaism where we are encouraged to look over our shoulders to our European ancestors and think to ourselves, oh, those were the really Jewish Jews. And this way of thinking, Charlotte, is total nonsense. We live in a fully American culture. What an obvious statement to make. And we should rejoice in that as Jews and learn from it. I learned from my teacher, who perhaps I refer to too often these days, Jacob Neusner, that a vibrant religious life is impossible unless it is rooted in experiences that you yourself are living. Our religious lives have to be rooted in our own lived lives. Trying to root our Jewish lives as cheerleaders for Israel will not work. We do not live as Israelis. Trying to create a Jewish life out of nostalgia for Europe is likewise doomed to long-term failure. Our Jewish lives have to be part and parcel of who we are as Americans, because nothing else can last on this continent. And we are learning. We are getting there. I will say in some places more than in others. My friends and colleagues have talked about food. I will talk about music. We see this most vividly in our musical prayer life at Micah, where we have enthusiastically embraced the guitar as the instrument that carries our prayer life. The folk guitar is the most quintessential of American musical instruments. And what we've done with the American folk guitar, we must allow to happen with every aspect of who we are as American Jews. Our Jewish study must be through the filter of American culture, and we are only starting to learn how to do this. We need to study Torah through the prism of our American and English literary heritage, because this is the only way that we can fully understand the message of our ancient texts. This full understanding requires a cultural translation. Without such a translation, Jewish study becomes the recitation of platitudes, expressions that we do not fully understand. Every ancient text requires a cultural translation, not simply a language translation. Now, what do I mean by that? We must ask ourselves rigorously the following kind of question. This is an example. How do you translate Paris into English? The correct answer is London, because Paris is to France as London is to England. So you don't translate the etymology of the word Paris into whatever that would be in English. You have to create a cultural translation. And this is one of the great, great challenges before us in terms of engaging our inherited literature. In order to understand our vast literary inheritance, we have to ask ourselves, what do these values, ideas, norms, rituals mean in our terms? In other words, Torah should be studied in conversation with Emerson. Religion should be studied as a phenomenon through the teachings of William James. Walt Whitman should help us understand the Psalms. I could go on and on. The mindset that we bring to our inherited vast treasure trove literature is decidedly different than the mindset that created it, and we have to create that cultural translation. And to fail to recognize that is to put our tradition on a kind of shelf and visit it as one visits a museum. A fully lived Jewish life can only be lived in partnership with the modern American lives we live today. This is among the greatest Jewish challenges of our times. Nothing more exciting. Welcome to the game.
Well, then now it's my time to concur. Charlotte, there's a big mandate that's just been put out in front of you. You've been asked, for the sake of our future, to be like a swimmer who keeps up with the water, to find authenticity, to serve as a translator, to make your own recipes, to figure out what this thing is that is Jewish and yours, and to do it in your way, in your time. And we're so excited to see what you'll do. And with that, I share one more big hearty mazel tov. And I'm excited to see what happens next. I'll pass it over to Rabbi Baraha for a prayer for healing.
Our thoughts turn now to those in our community who are in need of healing this Shabbat. And I invite you now to think of those in your community, in your congregations, in your worlds that are in need of healing. We pray. Cure our sickness, treat our ailments, repair the rent garments of our souls, stitch the ripped fabrics of our society, bandage the holes in our hearts. Dear God, nurture all who live in the in-between. Notice all who are unseen. Renew our courage, rescue our wholeness, root us all in the ever-sturdy tree of life. May the one who blesses all of our souls bring us healing and bless us with love, understanding, wholeness, and peace.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We think at this point of our loved ones whose death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We remember at this service those who were lost to violence in our own city in recent days. Our tradition at Temple Mike is to read these names aloud together. Please join me, each of you in your own homes, as we read these names. Eddie Christ, age 28, no fixed address. Chantel Hill, age 28, of Northwest DC. Dewan Simmons, age 17, of Northeast DC. Lowell Tolliver Jr., age 27, of Northeast DC. Our hearts are with you. Our hearts are with your loved ones. We think of you. We bring you into our hearts at this moment. This service, we remember sadly those servicemen who fell in this last week, either at home or overseas. We think this Shabbat morning of Army Sergeant Christopher Wesley Curry and Army Sergeant First Class John David Randolph Hilty. Our thoughts are with you and your families, and we grieve with you. We're in a period of Shiva for John Ferreira, the grandfather of Janelle Disa and the great-grandfather of Noel. And we're in a period of Shloshim, Philip Braverman, the father of David Braverman and grandfather of Stacy Braverman Cloyd, Barbara Gordon, the mother of Sarah Gordon, David Melendi, the husband of Lorna Melendi, Rabbi Ken Roseman, the grandfather of Robert Roseman, and Edward Schultz, the cousin of Dean Brenner. On this Shabbat, we observe Yartzeit for Jeanette Altman, Martin Annenberg, Violet Annenberg, Ben Appel, Louis Appleton, Gerald Armour, Shlomo Chaim Bardeen, Ruth Miriam Brown Berger, Milton Blechman, Sarah Blumenfeld, Belle Chernak, Sidney H. Kloster, Daniel Michael Efros, Michael Gitlin, David Goldberg, Eleanor Golden, Sidney Goldman, Fred Jacob, Arthur Carabell, Carl Lang, Sidney Lang, Henry S. Hank Moss, James Nelson, Anita Palmer, Irving Richter, Pauline Rubin, Maxine Sablaski, Sidney A. Simon, Stephen Mark Stein, Priscilla R. Stern, Lillian Strauss, Kenneth Townsend, Martha Webster, and James Wheatley. We think together also those all around the globe who have been lost in this time of pandemic. We are thinking of everyone. Our hearts have to be very, very large. And remember also those who have known to say Kaddish for them. We join together as a Temple Micah community. Yitkadal v'yitkadash me rabbah, v'yomad divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehesh me rabbah mevarach le'olam l'mei omaya, v'barach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitroman v'yitnasei, v'yadar v'yithalei v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu, Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran bi'oma v'imru amen. Yesh shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. We joined together in our closing song. I want to say one thing. I was distracted by this wonderful bird that's outside my window. This bird is anxious to get to this final song. So this bird is saying, Deborah, take us home.
We join together in those words we just spoke, Oseh Shalom Bimromav. And we ask for all of Charlotte's classmates in our B'nai Mitzvah class at home to also raise their voices and clap their hands. And I want to hear lots of shalom all throughout our city. Please join us. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.